How to feed yourself when the world is ended. The supermarkets are gutted. The soil is tired, and the only thing growing in the produce aisle is mold with ambition. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The average supermarket holds 3 days of food. 3. That's not a prepper conspiracy. That's the USDA's own logistics data, which means the apocalypse doesn't need zombies, it just needs a long weekend. And the food crisis isn't some distant sci-fi event waving from the horizon. It's already in your receipts. Eggs doubled. Wheat spiked after a single war. Olive oil became a luxury item because Spain had one bad summer. One. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, and the design is fragile as wet paper. So today, in this burnt lab coat I pulled out of a dumpster behind a closed bakery, I'm teaching you how to actually survive what's coming. Not the influencer prep, not the 400 cans of beans cosplay. Real food, real science, real dirt under the fingernails. Why it'll be worse than you think. Let's get the bad news out of the way, because hope without context is just denial in a party hat. 3 real things are stacking on top of each other right now. 1. Global fertilizer prices spiked hard after 2022, when Russia and Belarus, who together exploit roughly 40% of the world's potash, turned the tap. Potash, nitrogen, phosphate. Without them, yields drop. Not a little. Some studies out of the FAO suggest 20 to 40% in vulnerable regions. 2. The world lost about a third of its arable topsoil in the last 40 years, according to the UN. Soil isn't dirt. Soil is alive, and we've been farming it like it owes us rent. 3. Just-in-time supply chains. Your grocery store has, on average, 3 days of food. 3. That's it. One bad week of trucking, one cyber attack, one panic, and the shelves look like a crime scene. Now add climate volatility, water stress in the U.S. Southwest and Southern Europe, and the fact that 4 companies control over 70% of the global grain trade. You're not in a food system, you're in a Jenga tower made of receipts. Okay, pep talk over. Let's build. Method 1. Grow calories, not salad. First mistake everyone makes, they plant lettuce. Beautiful, photogenic, nutritionally equivalent to chewing a napkin. Lettuce is 95% water and 5% Instagram. You want calories, dense, stubborn, ugly calories. Start with potatoes. 1 square meter of potatoes, properly tended, can produce 4 to 5 kilos. They store for months in a cool, dark place, a basement, a buried bucket, the corner of a closet that smells of regret. Plant them in old tires, grow bags, a broken washing machine, anything that holds dirt and shame. Next, sweet potatoes if you're in a warm climate. The leaves are edible too. Yes, the leaves. You've been throwing away half the plant your whole life. Then beans. Pole beans climb so they don't steal your floor space. They also fix nitrogen back into the soil, which means they feed the dirt while feeding you. It's the only polite vegetable. And squash. Winter squash specifically. Butternut, Hubbard, the kind that looks like it was carved by a drunk wizard. They keep for 6 months on a shelf with 0 refrigeration. 6 months. Skip the kale. Kale is a personality, not a crop. Pro tip, the agriculture textbooks bury. 1 adult needs roughly 2,000 calories a day. A square meter of potatoes delivers that for 15 days straight. A square meter of lettuce, about 90 minutes. Plant accordingly. Method 2. The 3 Sisters hack. The indigenous nations of the Americas figured this out 3,000 years before your meal kit subscription. Corn, beans, squash, planted together. Corn grows tall. It's the pole. Beans climb the corn and feed the soil. Squash sprawls on the ground, shading out weeds and keeping moisture in. 3 plants, 1 patch, mutual aid in vegetable form. You get carbs, protein, and vitamins from the same square meter. No fertilizer factory required. Just dirt, sun, and the wisdom of people who didn't have DoorDash. Method 3. Preserve like your grandmother was right. Refrigeration is a 100-year-old habit. Humans ate for 200,000 years without it. Time to remember how. Method 1. Fermentation. Cabbage plus 2% salt by weight, smashed into a jar, submerged in its own brine, left at room temperature for 1 to 4 weeks. That's sauerkraut. That's also probiotics, vitamin C, and a food that survived medieval winters and 2 world wars. The lactic acid bacteria lower the pH so far that nothing harmful can live in there. It's science doing security work. Method 2. Drying. Slice tomatoes, apples, peppers, meat, thin. Lay them on a screen in the sun or near any heat source that isn't an open flame. Water leaves. Bacteria can't live without water. The food shrinks, the shelf life multiplies. Jerky is just meat that gave up its will to spoil. Method 3. Root cellaring. Dig a hole. Line it with straw. Bury a bucket. Put your potatoes, carrots, beets, cabbages inside. The earth holds a steady 8 to 12 degrees Celsius year-round once you're 4 feet down. It's a fridge that runs on physics and patience. Method 4. Canning if you still have jars and a heat source. Acidic stuff, tomatoes, pickles, jams, water bath canning works. Low-acid stuff, beans, meat, soup, needs pressure canning or you're brewing botulism. Botulism doesn't negotiate. Respect the pressure canner. Method 4. Protein without a Costco. Meat gets complicated fast when the grid blinks, so diversify. Eggs. 3 or 4 hens in a backyard will give you 1,000+ eggs a year. They eat scraps, kitchen waste, bugs. They're tiny feathered recyclers that produce breakfast. Rabbits. Quiet, fast breeding, high protein, low fat. One doe can produce 40 kilograms of meat a year. They eat grass. They don't bark. The neighbors won't even know. Fish if you've got water. Tilapia in a tank, trout in a stream, anything in a bucket with a bubbler. Aquaponics. Fish water feeds plants. Plants clean the water is a closed loop that's been running in greenhouses for decades. And the one nobody talks about, insects. Crickets are 60% protein by dry weight. The UN has been quietly recommending them since 2013. You don't have to like it, you have to survive. Method 5. Water, because food is useless without it. You can't grow, cook, or digest anything without water. So, while you're prepping the pantry, prep the plumbing. Rain catchment. A 100 square meter roof catches about 1,000 liters per 10 millimeters of rain. Run gutters to barrels. First flush diverter to dump the dirty initial runoff. Filter through sand, then charcoal, then a ceramic filter if you've got one. Boil before drinking. 1 minute at a rolling boil kills basically everything that wants to kill you. Store it in food-grade containers, dark, cool, sealed. Rotate every 6 months. Add a few drops of unscented household bleach, 2 drops per liter if you're storing long-term. The chlorine dissipates in days. Your gut bacteria will thank you. Method 6. The thing nobody preps. Skills, community. A neighbor who bakes, a neighbor who fixes engines, a neighbor who keeps bees. Every prepper movie sells you the lone wolf. Every actual collapse, Sarajevo, Venezuela, Cuba's special period, proves the opposite. The people who survived weren't the loudest. They were the most connected. They traded eggs for repairs, lessons for labor, sourdough starter for company. Your pantry runs out. A network doesn't. Learn one skill. Bread, canning, repair, gardening. Then teach it. Knowledge is the only food that multiplies when you share it. So the shelves thin out. Prices climb. The news mumbles about supply chain disruptions, while a man on TV eats lobster. You've got potatoes in a bucket, kraut on the counter, a hen named Linda, and a neighbor who owes you a favor. The food crisis isn't a movie, it's a slow tide, and tides don't care if you're ready, only if you can float. If your garden grows, congrats. If your jars seal, congrats twice. If your neighbor knocks with bread instead of a crowbar, you didn't just survive. You built something the old world forgot how to build. Now, Go plant something. The wasteland's not going to feed itself.